Hi, it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec. Welcome to a new edition of Tips and Tricks. I'm calling this one Paper Pattern Overload and How to Fix It. Some people really rock wild prints, and if you're one of them, you are welcome to stay, but you may want to change the channel. However, if you get overwhelmed when a collection has too many pattern papers, all beautiful but wild, busy, and somewhat unapproachable, stick around and I'll share a few ideas. This one is Bungalow Lane by Paige Evans, and I bought it last fall. Loved it, made a few pages, but that was it. What I have left over is beautiful, but there are so many busy prints, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to start. So in this video, I'm going to take Bungalow Lane, add material from my stash, and turn it into this, a more user-friendly collection. And you can use this approach with any collection you find too busy to use. So let's get started. And the first thing I do when I change up a collection like this is take all of the pattern papers, put them face up on my table, and I have a look. And you can see here, there are a lot of prints. Now often, most often anyway, collections come with tone-on-tone prints, B-sides, that read as solids, but I find what I have left from this anyway, there is very little of that. I just showed you a coral paper that has dots on that. To me, it reads as a solid. The same thing there as that green paper. There's leaves on it, but it definitely reads as a solid. Now there's some more tone-on-tones that read less as a solid to me, and I'm a bit of a pattern paper wimp, I suppose, but that red one with the leaves still looks busy to me. The yellow one, a little less, but there are leaves on it, but I guess it reads as a solid. Anyway, very little of that from what I have left of this collection, and that's why I find it too busy. I'm showing you the embellishments I bought from this collection as well. I don't have that many. I have stickers, alphas. I have those little rubbery adhesive buttons. This is a cut apart sheet. It was actually a piece of paper, but I used it for a previous collection. And I have a floral ephemera pack. I think I bought 2 floral ephemera packs for this collection. They are absolutely gorgeous. I do love everything I bought. It's just that it quickly became unusable for me due to so many patterns. So now what I'm going to do is start breaking down this collection and adding paper from my stash. So what I'm going to do is select one paper that inspires me and use that as a guide to select 1 to 2 more papers. So in this case, I select that large leaf print. And what I want here is I want to select papers with different print scales. So that leaf print is a large scale. Now I'm looking for something with a small scale. I have that text print, and that flip side is like little sketchy lines. Both of those work really well with that leaf print, so I'm happy with that. And for like a tone-on-tone print, I'm going to go with that coral dot paper. The flip side is like a quilt print, really beautiful but very wildly printed, and I'm going to slip that in. So I'm going to remove that from all of the other papers, and already this is looking a little bit more approachable to me, but I am going to add a bit of material from my stash, some paper from my stash. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a neutral cardstock, and in this case I'm going to add white cardstock. You could use vanilla, you could use black, depending on your pattern papers, depending on what works for you. But already for me with that white cardstock, it looks better, it looks more approachable. Now for each one of these kits, I'm also going to add a solid, 1 or 2 solid colors. Now I'm going to be adding cardstock, but this could also be a tone-on-tone print from your stash that actually reads as a solid. So I put in that green cardstock. I think it's Olive from Simple Stories. And the next step is optional. It's to add a texture print. And what I mean by that, it's a wood grain, maybe a burlap motif, maybe a lace motif, depending on the mood and feel of the collection you're working with. But in my case, I added that dark wood grain from Simple Stories. So I have a little paper pack here, and it's much more approachable. And you'll see this again at the end of the video when I have the entire collection. But already I'm happy with it, and I'm going to just group these up, put them to the side, and I'm going to continue doing that with this entire collection. And I end up making 4 little mini kits. So I'm going to select another printed paper that has lots of colors. And in this case, I go with that blue floral print. It's a very tight print, very, very busy. I have 2 of them. The flip side is almost like a, I don't know what to call it. It almost looks like a tile or something. It is kind of a gold color with a little pale pink background. I'm undecided on that one, but I have them both there. Now I'm looking for a larger scale print to coordinate, and I have this quilt pattern paper. The flip side of that one is that yellow leaf print. I don't particularly like that yellow leaf print. Anyway, I do like that quilt print, so I'm going to add that to my little pack. And now what I'm going to do is add some cardstock. At this point, for this particular mini kit, you're going to see a lot of indecision. So I'm not sure at this point of the flip side of that blue floral paper, but I do find it coordinates. I add the white cardstock, and again, right there, that mini pack is already more approachable for me, more usable. Now what I'm going to do is look for some solid colors. Again, I'm going into solid cardstock, but this could be a tone-on-tone print that reads as a solid. So that blue one there isn't exactly the same color, but it's close enough. It looks like it's in the same blue color family, and that is from Simple Stories. The color is called Cornflower. I bring in this mustard colored cardstock from Simple Stories as well. I don't like it. I'm looking at it on the screen right now, and I'm not particularly thrilled with it. It is the same color as that gold middle of one of the quilts, but to me, I prefer it just with that blue and white cardstock. Anyway, at this point it stays, but you're going to see me remove it, put it back in, remove it, put it back in. Keep in mind when you're doing this process, even though you're making selections here, you're not actually creating a page with it. So if you find yourself taking too much time, remind yourself you can always remove it later. For a texture motif paper, I brought in that burlap print. That one is from close to my heart, I think. Anyway, so I find that looks very nice with that collection, except I don't like that yellow mustard colored cardstock. It does stay in the pack, but I think I'll remove it immediately after this video. But at the very least, this paper pack is much more approachable, much more user-friendly than a big pile of pattern papers. Now I'm going to move on to the third kit. So you can see here I have less and less pattern paper on my desk. The next one I'm going to select is that half circle. It almost looks like banners or something. So I have 2 of those. The flip side is that red paper there. I find that quite bold actually. I do like that green floral print, so I'm bringing that in as well. I'm undecided about the that red print at this point. I keep looking. I find this, it's a very tight print. It's like a dark navy with many little flowers on top of it. I'm kind of liking that combo, though I do find it a bit busy. By adding the white cardstock, it certainly helps here. So now I'm going to go in and look for some other solids, and I end up bringing in once again this olive colored green from Simple Stories, and I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to look for a texture print, so I just bring in a Simple Stories wood grain paper. That color is hickory, and there I have a nice little paper pack, much more approachable, much more easy to use. So this is all I have left here. I have 2 of those leaf prints, and I have a cut apart sheet. So the flip side of the leaf print is fine. That green one there, it definitely reads as a solid. That cut apart sheet, at this point I'm deciding I'm going to use it as embellishments for this collection. I go straight to the texture motifs and I bring in that wood grain from Simple Stories. And now I'm going to look for some neutral cardstock. So once again, I'm going to bring in white, and I'm happy with that. For colored cardstock, I end up bringing in a green one from Simple Stories. That color is pine. Now it's not exactly the same as the green on the flip side of that leaf print, so I'm trying to decide if I like that little kit together. I think it's okay. Anyway, I am going to keep these together. I'm certainly finding it more usable than, again, a big pile of printed papers, and I do plan to cut apart that cut apart sheet and use it for embellishing. So there you have it. I've got all of these papers grouped up. We're going to continue now, however, to build this kit. First, though, I want to have a look at what I started with. You can see there how many pattern papers are going on here. Beautiful, I love them, but too many pattern papers. Now, there is my new paper pack, and to me, with the solids and the wood grains and the burlap, much more approachable. I'm just showing you here what I bought from this collection for embellishment. So I have alphas, stickers. This is a tag cut apart sheet. That was a piece of paper that I cut apart for another project. I have those little buttons there. They're like little rubbery adhesive buttons. And I have the ephemera pack. That there, the paper, I plan to cut it apart as well for embellishing. So I did love this collection. I love the papers. I love the embellishments I bought. It just became unusable for me. I decided at this point I'm going to add a few more things from my stash because I do plan to use this collection with my March kit, and you'll see that in a few days. So I brought in those blue alphas from Pink Fresh Studio. That is a copper specialty paper from Stampin' Up! And if you look at the stickers, there are copper accents, so I brought that in as well. That's some wood veneer. I'm not a big wood veneer person. That came in a Hip Kit Club, I think, in October. So anyway, this is a fall-themed kit, so I'm bringing that in. If who knows, maybe I'll use it. And I have some enamel dots there. There's like a metallic finish, and it does have that kind of coppery look about it, so I'm happy with that. But that is basically it. Anyway, here is the kit that I started with, and here is the kit that I'm going to be working with in March. And to me, I find it much more usable. So let's just review what to do to take a kit and tone it down and make it more user-friendly when there are too many wild prints. Number one, break down pattern papers into mini collections, 2 to 3 prints, and try to select papers with different print scales, large motif, small motif. The next thing you're going to do is for each one of these mini kits, add a neutral. I added white cardstock, and then add 1 to 2 solid colors. And you could use a tone-on-tone print that really reads as a solid. I used cardstock. The next thing you want to do, and this is optional of course, is to add a texture print. I used like wood grain, a burlap motif, and like I mentioned throughout the video, this could be a lace. Anyway, the idea is a texture print. And that is basically it. So by adding a neutral, some solids, and tone-on-tone texture prints, I was able to tone down this collection and make it much more approachable and hopefully easier to use. We'll see that next month when I use it for my projects. Anyway, I'll do a layout share with what I created with this kit. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.